How many of these 11 warning signs is your horse showing you right now, and do you know which ones are about to become a safety problem? Horses are herd animals. That's not an excuse for bad behavior, it's a fact of how they're built. In a herd, every horse is constantly working out its place in the hierarchy, and the moment you step into that horse's space, you become part of that calculation. If you haven't established yourself clearly, the horse fills in the blank on its own terms. Most of the signs on this list don't start out dangerous. They start small. They stay small until the day they don't. The context that makes this list useful, disrespect in horses, is almost never attitude. It's almost always training that was incomplete, pressure that was applied inconsistently, or a foundation that was skipped because the horse was young or cheap or just seemed fine at the time. Every behavior on this list has a specific fix, and every fix comes down to the same principle that underpins all good horsemanship: consistent pressure and release. You apply pressure, the horse responds correctly, you release immediately. The horse learns to respond to the lightest ask because that's where the release lives. What you'll also notice is that most of the dangerous signs on this list started as minor annoyances that somebody lived with too long. The horse learned that the behavior worked. Your horse grazes while you're leading it and ignores you when you correct. This is the most common respect problem in backyard horsekeeping and also one of the most telling. When a horse drops its head to graze while on a lead and ignores your pressure on the rope, it's telling you directly that the food on the ground matters more than your leadership. The fix is not to pull harder. The fix is to make not grazing easier than grazing. The moment the head drops, apply steady upward pressure on the lead, say nothing, and don't release until the head comes up. Then walk on immediately. Repeat every single time. If you release the pressure while the head is still down, you've taught the horse that pressure eventually stops regardless of what it does. That lesson spreads to everything else. Walking ahead of you on a lead, constantly pulling forward. The space directly in front of you is your space. A horse that is consistently walking into it, ahead of your shoulder, is telling you it considers that space its own. On a trail, this looks minor. At a gate or in a crowd, it becomes a horse that is walking over you. The fix starts with knowing where your horse's nose should be, even with your shoulder not ahead of it. Every time the nose creeps past that point, stop, back the horse up 3 or 4 steps, then walk on. You're not punishing the horse. You're resetting the spatial relationship. It takes repetition and it takes consistency every single time, including the days when you're tired and the gate is right there and it doesn't seem worth fighting about. Those are the days the horse is taking notes. Swinging hind quarters toward you when you approach This is where the list starts moving into clearly dangerous territory. A horse presenting its hindquarters is presenting a weapon. Horses kick from the hind end, and they know it. When a horse in a stall or a pasture turns away from you, ears back, hindquarters toward you, it's not being shy. It's telling you to back off or it will escalate. Never walk around behind a horse displaying this behavior and pretend it didn't happen. Drive the horse forward and away with a flag, a rope, a lunge whip, whatever you have. The horse needs to understand that presenting its hind end to you is the beginning of work, not the end of your approach. Horses that learn this behavior gets them left alone are horses that escalate it until someone gets hurt. Pinned ears at feeding time, the feed bucket. Pinned ears at feeding time looks harmless. It's a horse being food protective, which is understandable, but it's also a horse that is telling you it owns that space and you don't belong there. Left uncorrected, food-possessive horses escalate to charging, striking, and biting. The fix is to work the horse away from the empty bucket before you ever add food. Put the bucket in the space, ask the horse to yield and move away from it. Then approach, then add feed, then move the horse away again. When the horse understands that access to the food is something you control rather than something it possesses, the possessiveness drops significantly. It takes a few weeks of consistent work. It's worth every minute of it. Biting or mouthing at you, even playfully. The distinction between playful mouthing and aggressive biting matters, but it matters less than most people think at the training level. Both behaviors come from the horse learning that its mouth is allowed near your body. A horse that nibbles your sleeve or nuzzles at your pockets is a horse that has been allowed to use its mouth on a human. That horse is much closer to biting than a horse that has never been allowed near your body with its teeth. Correct every mouth contact behavior the same way, calmly and immediately. The horse's nose does not belong on your body. The correction should be immediate and clear, not harsh, but sharp enough that the horse understands the boundary is firm. Horses that bite humans are almost always horses that were allowed to mouth humans first. Refusing to pick up feet for cleaning or the farrier for cleaning or the farrier. This is one of the most fixable problems on this list, and also one of the most commonly neglected. A horse that jerks its leg back, leans into you, or simply refuses to shift weight off a hoof when you ask is a horse that has learned it can ignore foot handling pressure. The fix is the same basic pressure and release foundation. Run your hand down the leg, apply steady upward pressure on the fetlock, and hold without releasing until the horse shifts weight. The instant it shifts, release and rub. Don't hold for more than the horse can tolerate initially. Build time gradually. A horse that fights foot handling is a danger to your farrier, to your veterinarian, and to you. It's also a horse that is going to have hoof health problems because the handling becomes something everyone avoids. Shoulder pushing while being led or handled into you while being led or handled. This is a subtler invasion of personal space than walking ahead, and it can be harder to identify because it happens gradually. A horse that drifts its body into yours during groundwork or while being led is essentially pushing you out of its space rather than staying in its own lane. In the pasture, dominant horses use body pressure to move subordinate horses. When your horse does this to you, it's using the same language. The correction is to be clear about your lane and your horse's lane, to use your elbow or a lead rope to maintain the separation, and to never simply step aside for the horse. Stepping aside is yielding. The horse registers every yield. Jerking the head up when you ask for a downward head position, Asking a horse to lower its head is one of the most fundamental ground exercises there is. A horse that jerks up in response to pull pressure is a horse that has learned it can refuse and nothing happens. Head lowering is not just a useful behavior in itself, it's a submission signal. A horse with its head low is a more relaxed, more manageable horse. When you ask for a lower head and the horse raises it sharply instead, hold steady pressure on the pole or lead and wait. Don't increase the pressure dramatically, just maintain. The instant the head drops even half an inch, release. You're training to the smallest response first. Over time, the horse learns that lower is where the pressure ends. Invading your space from the front, putting its head over or into you. Large horses can rest their head over a person's shoulder. Some owners find this endearing. It looks like affection. What it is, in horse language, is a dominant horse placing its body over a subordinate one. Dominant horses do this to lower-ranked herd members. When your horse does it to you, it's not being affectionate, it's ranking you. The correction is consistent. The horse's head does not come into your personal bubble without an invitation. Step into the horse's space, drive the head up and away, and hold the boundary. A horse that respects your personal space on the ground is a safer horse in every other context. Spooking, bolting, or wheeling away on a lead from you on a lead. There's a difference between a genuine spook from a real stimulus and a horse that uses spooking as an exit strategy. Horses that have learned that sudden movement gets them loose or gets the handler to release pressure will escalate spooky behavior because it works. When a horse spooks and you drop the lead or back away, you've rewarded the behavior with release. The correction is to control the feet immediately after a spook, circling or backing up, making the spook the beginning of work rather than the end of your control. A horse that learns it cannot escape the situation through a spook stops using spooking as a strategy. This takes consistency on your part in every spook situation, including the ones where it's raining and you're late for work, acting up, bucking, or trying to unseat you under saddle, or tries to unseat you under saddle without a physical cause. Before you address this as a respect issue, rule out pain. Check saddle fit. Check for soreness in the back, the mouth, the feet. A horse acting up because something hurts is not a respect issue. It's a communication issue, and the horse is communicating something you need to hear. Once you've ruled out physical causes, a horse that bucks or spins or refuses to move forward under saddle to get the rider off is a horse that has learned those behaviors work. The fix under saddle is to ride through the behavior when you safely can and immediately ask for forward movement, making it clear that the behavior results in more work, not less. The fix that matters more is the groundwork that should precede every ride. A horse that yields consistently on the ground, that moves away from pressure, that gives its feet, that respects your personal space, is a fundamentally different animal to get on than one where none of that foundation exists. Most saddle problems trace back to ground problems that were skipped or ignored. The ground is where every dangerous behavior starts, and it's where every dangerous behavior is fixed. The connecting thread through all 11 of these signs is this. Every one of them is a horse testing or expressing a boundary that you either haven't set or haven't held. None of them are permanent. None of them are character flaws in the horse. They're training gaps, and training gaps can be closed. The work is consistent, it's repetitive, and most of it happens on the ground before you ever get on. The horses that hurt people are almost always horses where one of these signs was present for months or years before something bad happened. Start with sign 1. Work through the list. Your horse is telling you exactly what needs attention.